Hello lovely people, my name is Emma and today I'm going to be talking through the 10 classics that I want to get to in 2024. So the new year is upon us and everyone's going to be making reading plans and reading goals, and I do this most years where I kind of look at my shelves and try and pick the 10 classics that I definitely want to get to, and it definitely helps me to kind of structure my classics reading. So let's jump into all the books. The first one is a very well-known book which has been on multiple TBRs of mine in the past, and I will eventually get to it. And that's War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. This is, I think, still the longest fiction book out there. I'm not actually confident on that. It is a brick, it has got tiny writing, and it is basically about the French War in Russia? Something like that. I don't actually know. That's just, it's one of these ones that's like constant and ever present, but you don't actually know what's going on with it. So I've attempted to read this a few times, like I said, and this year is going to be the year that's different because I'm going to have a schedule and I'm going to have a buddy reader at work. So that is my plan. One of the vets is also reading this with me. I'm very excited about that, and we are going to get through this. This particular edition is the Penguin Vintage Classics Russian collection. They did like 6 big Russian classics with these gorgeous covers. So I am going to read this brick of a book, whether like it's gonna kill me, it's fine. The rest of the books on this list are a lot more manageable. An author that I want to get to is Vonnegut. I've not read any of his books before. I have Mothernight here, but I also have Jailbird in audiobook form, and I don't know which one I'm going to get to. Probably this one. This is about a gentleman who is on trial for war crimes in an Israeli prison, something to do with Nazi propaganda, and basically and he was also a spy for the US military, and I think it's like looking at morality and what it means to be good and bad, and like just following orders and sort of the shades of grey within trials. So intriguing. Kurt Vonnegut is such a big powerhouse. Slaughterhouse 5 is his big one. I'm not that bothered by the plot synopsis of that, so I thought I'd try some of his back catalogue instead. And I genuinely can't remember what Jailbird is about, so we're going to focus on that one instead. Another author that I'm hoping to get to is James Baldwin. I have Another Country here, and I've read Giovanni's Room in the past. James Baldwin is a very well-known black author who was writing, I think, in the 50s. Please don't quote me about any of these. This was written in 1962. That ain't bad. And he quite often wrote about the black queer experience as well. This is about a scavenging Harlem jazz musician adrift in New York, and his writing style, Giovanni's Room, was so like lyrical and lovely and had lots of like character depth kind of stuff. So I'm hoping that again this is gonna be sort of a similar vibe. James Baldwin also has a big collection of non-fiction that at some point I definitely want to check out as well. A slam dunk definite favourite classics author for me is George Orwell. I have now read I think 6 or 7 of Orwell's books, and I am trying to work through more of his fiction back catalogue because I think I've now read pretty much all of his non-fiction. Orwell is obviously very well known for 1984 and Animal Farm. I've read, like I said, a lot of his non-fiction. He's got his time in the Spanish Civil War, looking at poverty in London and Paris, and also looking at poverty up in the north in mining communities called the Road to Wigan Pier. I've read Burmese Days, which is one of his earliest novels. This coming up for Eyre, I don't know what it's about at all, and I also have, I think, Keep the Asphodels Flying on my Kindle. So I'm going to read one of his fictions that I've not done yet. I'll probably listen to it on audiobook because I really like his writing in audiobook style, but he just has such a wonderful turn of phrase and way with words that for me it doesn't really matter what he's writing, I have a good time. One that is a little bit of a sneaky coming out of left field is Stephan Zweig's Beware of Pity. This, I read his short story Chess quite a while ago now. My dad recommended it to me and it was really cool and really interesting. This is German originally, and it is about a guy who in 1913 discovers the terrible danger of pity. He had no idea the girl was lame when he asked her to dance, and so begins a series of visits motivated by pity which relieve his guilt but give her the dangerous glimmer of hope. So that sounds fun. I have this on audiobook. This isn't actually my copy, and I am really excited to get to it, and I also think that my dad is sort of interested in reading it as well, so that will be really good fun to kind of see what he thinks to it. But like I say, really enjoyed his short story, which is very noteworthy for me because I don't like short stories. So when I find one that I do really enjoy, it definitely is a bit of a standout, like, oh, let's pay attention to this author kind of thing. Now we're stumbling into some other big names as well, and I'm going to try and read a Bronte this year, and it's going to probably have to be Charlotte because she's basically the only one I have left. So I have Jane Eyre here, which has made its way onto so many freaking TBRs across the years, and I just need to sit down and read it. I've read Wuthering Heights, and I've also read Anne Bronte's 2, which is The Tenant at Wildfell Hall, and Agnes Grey. I've generally loved everything I've read from the Bronte sisters, but I've yet to do Charlotte, so I should probably just read Charlotte. I'm not actually that psyched about Jane Eyre. I think I'm more interested in reading Villette. However, I have the like prequel that was written by Jean Rye's Wide Sargasso Sea on my shelf, which is in my December TBR, so I kind of need to like read that and read this one in relatively close proximity, I feel, and it's just about time that I read this freaking book. This gorgeous cover is from the Penguin English Library paperbacks, which is definitely helping to sell it. But yeah, Bronte, Charlotte Bronte is happening in 2024. In some way. It might not be that one, but in some capacity I'm reading her. Another big name author that I'm going to be reading in 2024 is Austen. So I have read 3 Jane Austens in the past. I've read Northanger Abbey, I've read Persuasion, and I've read Emma. I liked the first 2. I did not enjoy Emma, and that was the last one that I read from her, and I think it put me off a little bit. I've yet to do any of her really big ones, which I think is Pride and Prejudice, Sensibilities. This is Sense and Sensibilities here. I don't actually own Pride and Prejudice yet. So this is about 2 sisters, one who's impulsive and idealistic, and then the other one who is like much more sensible and mild-mannered. I don't actually know much about this one, but generally I've enjoyed Austen's writing, and I think it's time again I start to tick off more of her back catalogue. I've been trying to read a wider range of Russian classics. I really enjoy Russian literature, so we've obviously got the Leo Tolstoy in there, and I'm hoping to read a fair amount of Russian classics in December, but kind of continuing that trend, I'm hoping to get to Dead Souls by Nikolai Gogol. This is about a mysterious gentleman who arrives in a provincial Russian town and basically says, can he have the souls of the dead, I think, and then like in doing so, that's it, he buys the rights to the dead serfs who are still registered, reducing their liability for taxes, but in doing so he manages to like amass a force of some kind of power from them. Apparently it's a biting satire of social pretensions and pomposity, and I'm intrigued. I've yet to read anything by Nikolai Gogol. I've owned this book for a while. This is from the Alma Classics collections. They are very pretty. I really like them, and I think it's time that I branch out a little bit in some of my Russian reading. One that I have on audiobook is Octavia E Butler, and this one I'm specifically Wild Seed, which is the first book in her Pattern Master series. Octavia E Butler is a really big name black sci-fi author from the like a classics, obviously classics, that's what this video is, who is writing I think in the 50s, or I might just say everything's in the 50s, who can tell. It's the safest number to go for. It was probably in the 50s. So I've read quite a lot from her in the past. I've read Kindred, which is a time traveling book, it is awesome, and I've read her Exogenesis trilogy, which is like really hardcore sci-fi, lots of aliens, and I get the vibe that Pattern Master is a similar kind of style. The blurb just had a lot of people who like jump bodies and are shapeshifters, and I don't really know much more about that. I am trying to make a little bit of a like attempt to read all of Octavia E Butler's back catalogue. There was like a read along on YouTube a good couple of years ago where you were supposed to read a different book from her every month, and I was like dipping in and out of that one with them, but then my studies completely ruined that plan. So I have quite a lot from her that I definitely want to go back and read. I've also read her short story collection Bloodchild, and that is weird. That is again one of the few short story collections that I've really enjoyed, but all of them are a bit body horror-y and trippy, and she writes some like weird stuff. And then the final book that I'm hoping to get to in 2024 is Watership Down by Richard Adams. I can't believe I've not read this one. This seems insane. Like, as somebody who loves rabbits, I know it's a bummer of a book, don't worry, I'm fully aware of some of the spoilers, and loves classics and loves reading. How have I not done Watership Down yet? I have it on audiobook. I do vaguely remember the movie from when I was a kid, and I know it's hella traumatic in places, but I think it's time to get to this one. It is about a warren that is in danger, and they basically try and flee, and I think it's going to be in many ways a lovely read, even if it is sad in places. And I really enjoy books told from animals' perspectives. Like Black Beauty was one of my favourite books as a kid, so this should definitely be up there. Oh, that stack is precarious behind me, isn't it? So those are 10 classics books that I'm going to try and prioritise in 2024. The plan is obviously to read way more classics than just that. I'm really hoping to try and get back into my classics reading and bump that number up a bit, because it definitely fell off the wayside. Even before my studies, the numbers were starting to drip down, so I'm hoping this will really help to focus me and get that number revived up a little bit more. So let me know in the comments down below, have you read any of these? Would you recommend any of them? And what is your favourite classics collection to collect? I personally love the Alma Classics and the Penguin English Library paperbacks, but do let me know what your thoughts are on these things. That's about it. Have a wonderful reading week, and I'll chat to you soon. Bye.